Hi all, this is the MakeHaven training video for our stained glass area. So in this video, I'm going to go over the basics of what we have here in the stained glass area. We're not going to go over the details of exactly how to do stained glass, but we might make a video that covers those things in the future. So starting up at the top here on the tool board, we have these running pliers. And so these are some of the more basic kinds of glass cutting pliers. You can see here they have a crown to them on the top, and you use these for breaking glass in a generally straight line. Then here we have the grozers, and so these tools are used to snap the glass in places when they're more curvy lines and it might not break so nicely just along a straight line. Here we have pattern shears. So these are special scissors that have 3 blades, and the purpose of that is when you print out a pattern, you can cut the lines out, which leaves enough space in your pattern for the leading that's going to go in the middle. Here are the 2 glass cutters. So we don't keep oil in the handles, we just have the cutting oil down here that you can dip the tip in. The way that these are used is by pressing firmly into the glass so that you hear a crunching sound, either using a guide or freehand or following a pattern. You want to score the glass along a line, and you don't want to go over that same path twice. Once you've scored it, then you can break the glass along that line. These are called bone folders, and they were probably in the old days made out of bone. Now they are not. These are used to fold foil, which is the metal that goes around the edges of the glass. Here we have metallic Sharpies, which you can use for drawing on the glass and then later remove with alcohol. Here we have solder snips for snipping the solder. Here we have tinned copper wire. And this is most often used by soldering a loop of it onto your piece of stained glass art so that you can hang it. Here are extra grinder wheels for these grinders. In a second, you'll see Kate demonstrating how to use these grinders. And this is where the grinder wrench lives. And then these are 2 brushes for flux. So the flux is what you use to help with the soldering process to get the solder to stick. Down here, you can see the flux, some glass cutting oil, and more flux. Here are the soldering irons that turn on when they're plugged into the wall. Down here is water for the grinders. This is a container to hold foil, so you can buy your own foil, or there might be some leftover communal foil here. We probably have it in the store in the back, and that's what you use to wrap around the edges of the glass. And then here are the grinders. Here are pads that you can use while you're soldering to protect the table from the heat. And these are light boards. You can plug these in and they just generate light, so you can put your stained glass over it to see what it'll look like with light coming through it. The solder for the soldering irons is also available in the store. It is leaded solder, so make sure to wash your hands after you are done using it. Over here, mounted on the wall, we have some pliers for grabbing the cane. Cane is lead or zinc framing that can go in or around your stained glass pieces, and often you want to straighten it out to get the wrinkles out. So here you can clamp it into the wall and then grab the other end with this pair of vice grips and pull to pull the wrinkles out. And over here is just a light switch to turn these overhead lights on and off.
This is the grinder, and there's a few pieces you should be aware of. This is a sponge. Here, we're gonna take that off. This is the reservoir where you'd put water. Here I have an Allen key, and this is a 1/16 key. And that is what is going to allow me to remove this bit. So right in here, get up a little closer. That's right where the key goes. You can see right here, there is a flat side and a curved side. So you want to put the flat side right next to where you're putting the Allen key in when you put it in. I'm going to fill the reservoir, and what I want is for the water to go just sort of to the bottom edge of this work surface. I don't want it to be coming up through the top. I'm going to go ahead and put some water right in there, just a little bit. Check our levels. Pour a little more through the top if need be. The easiest place to see it is actually right in this area here, right in here. This is where the sponge is going to go, so you can really see where that water level's lining right there. You just don't want it to run dry, so you just want to keep an eye on that as you're going, in case more water is needed. All right, so now I'm going to take the sponge. This little sponge piece is just going to sit down there in the water. We want to make sure that the sponge is touching the water. That way it will pull the water up. We're going to take our bit. We have a couple different sizes, but this is the size we're using today. Like I said, I'm going to have that hole. I'm going to line it up with the flat side and just slide that on so that the diamond part, the grinding part, is level with our surface, so with our work plate here. So when I slide the glass onto it, there will be contact. So I have that where I want it. Once I have it where I want it, I get it lined up where I like it, I'm just going to tighten this down. And you'll turn it and you'll feel it kind of stop, and now it's solidly in place there. This is going to really collect what's being sprayed off. You'll see, if you look at this closely, there's kind of a line of where all the ground glass that has basically become sand becomes. So that's going to be up in there. So there's a plug. Obviously you want to make sure that it's plugged in, and then the power switch is right on the side here. Okay, so if we're getting ready to grind, one thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put my hair back. You just don't wanna have anything hanging forward that could get caught in there. You also wanna be aware of where your hands are. So as you're holding the glass, this you can see a little better, as you're holding the glass, you don't want your hands right up in here. There are some sort of additional tools if you have smaller pieces that you can use to work with, but just be aware of your hand and placement as you're going along. So to get started, we'll go ahead and put these on. And this, turn it on. I've already marked on my glass what I'm working to get rid of. I'm just leaning into that. Doesn't require a lot of pressure. Just moving it along to take off those Sharpie points, those points that I want to remove. And I'll just keep going until all of that is removed, and then I'll turn it off. Once you're all set and finished with the tool, you just want to make sure that you're cleaning up. So if there is spatter on this, you just want to wipe them down with a wet cloth. We're going to take this out here. Now, normally there would be a lot more of this ground glass. I just did a quick sample. Best bet then is to go ahead and rinse this out. You can take it outside, or you can use a slop sink to just rinse that out, and then you should be good to go.
When you're done using the grinders, they should look like this, not like this. We don't want to have all this glass dust left over for the next person to clean up. And you should also make sure to clean the whole station when you're done so that it's nice and clean for the next person. Thanks so much for watching. Have fun making stained glass.